In the crash test, hazard lights on, doors unlocked and opened. Doors on this side couldn't. E-call is connected.
好，这里是智能互联紧急救援中心。
没事，我误触发了。
有遇到紧急情况吗？
没有。
The call system worked fine. Great. Rescue and extrication rating, great. During the crash, its bumper beam and the crash box absorbed energy well, but not so behind shotgun. The car worked badly with the truck's rear guard, together with its small pillar angle and weak joints. The base of the A-pillar was torn off, the B-pillar deformed, the C-pillar developed multiple plastic hinges. Structure rating, mediocre. Its restraint system functioned, both pre-tensioning seat belts activated. All airbags deployed. But the passenger's head was hit hard by the roof. The ripped A-pillar led to a lethal head injury. It wouldn't make it. Head protection, poor. On the driver's side, not so bad, so it can survive despite a minor chest injury. So, dummy protection rating, mediocre. Overall rating in this test, mediocre. 40 miles per hour, 40% frontal offset crash against a deformable barrier. Simulates a crash against other vehicles. This is the IIHS Moderate Overlap Frontal Crash Evaluation, a standard in NCAP assessments. All vehicles are set to the maximum load. Front, 1 dummy, second row, 2 dummies. If there is a third row, 2 dummies. As a global model, the RAV4 is definitely familiar with such crash tests. In the test, its structure remained intact. The low-voltage system malfunctioned upon the crash. Doors unlocked. E-call worked.
紧急呼叫已开始，正在连接呼叫中心。
您好，这里是关铁的警护联服装线国号2971。
But hazard lights weren't on. Another serious problem is, after the crash, there was oil leakage. Therefore, rescue and extrication rating, poor. Its front crumple zone did a great job. No deformation or plastic hinge on the B and C pillar. Door rings are fine, doors open easily, but the intrusion in this area is huge. Structure rating, acceptable. During the crash, the driver was well protected, with barely any injury to its chest and legs. Acceptable. Its restraint system and airbags all function. Front airbags protect the driver well. Rating of the front restraint, great. The rear left dummy may suffer minor chest and calf injuries. Acceptable. But the rear right dummy has a high risk of chest injury. Mediocre. Overall rating of the rear restraint system, mediocre. Overall rating on this test, acceptable. 50 miles per hour, 70% rear end crash by a 1 point per ton test vehicle. simulates a secondary high-speed rear-ending. The dummy layout and weight distribution remained unchanged. According to the U.S. Federal Regulations 301 and 305, major focuses are fuel and battery leakage, thermal runaway, and structural integrity. The RAV4 secured a great result in the US crash test. It must have been upgraded for such a crash, so our test won't be challenging for it. In the test, it has no oil leakage. Great. But its bumper beam is not that great. C-pillar deform. Mediocre. Its overall rating at the rear-end crash, acceptable.